all of you into this session. And what we are going to talk about is mindset, right? And how adaptability is all about mindset. I'm not sure how many of you remember the points that we have covered so far, but if I were to just summarize everything that we have learned and why are we talking about adaptability, why are we so focused on what we want to learn, I thought of sharing some challenges that are there in front of all of us. Many of you who are pretty young, like Aparajita, Pallavi, and others, you have a very, very long career ahead of you, both personally and professionally. So as you navigate through a very difficult, challenging period of life, what are some of the challenges that we have in front of us? It is easy to talk about agility, but I think so it is very difficult to be agile. We looked at different forms of cognitive agility. We did that in the last session or the session before last. So are we building a learning agility? So if you remember, I said that learning agility has two parts to it. Learning agility has the ability to learn and the willingness to learn. While there is no doubt about the ability to learn, all of us, we are about 14, 15 of us on the call, each one of us has equal ability to learn, but we have unequal willingness to learn. So are we willing to learn? So you may want to check for yourself that in the last 1 week, what is that new thing that you have learned? So agility has those two pillars on which it is built, the ability and the willingness, and then it will help you build speed, it will help you build flexibility, it will help you become more swift and adapt to situations, right? Adaptability, we saw, is the application of what we have learned and applying those learnings in new situations or the situations that we may encounter in the future. And resilience is, am I going to break or am I flexible? Yes, I will be thrown down, but do I bounce back and do I bounce forward? Right. So it is I think it's a combination of agility, adaptability, and resilience that creates a growth mindset. And I think so that growth mindset will help us create a culture of change. And creating that culture of change, we need to be ahead of the change curve. And I'm going to talk about the change curve in a while. The second challenge is what I'm sure many of you would have heard a zillion times, the new normal. And as I think, as I study, as I read about what is now happening in the world in the post-COVID era, I don't find anything normal. So I rather use the word the new abnormal. So how do I adapt in this new abnormal? How do I adapt in this VUCA world? I'm sure some of you know about the volatile world, the uncertain world, the complex world, the ambiguous world. And there are so many examples we know, and I'll share some, that companies and individuals were not able to adapt and they are not relevant anymore. The speed of change has changed dramatically, drastically. It has never happened that the new knowledge is replacing old knowledge at such a frantic speed, right? And we will look at it. And how do you create sustainability? Are you building a sustainable career, especially to the young boys and girls on the call? There's this great book that I suggest all of you read, and the title of that book is Build to Last by Jim Collins. And the question that that book helps us solve is, or rather help us understand is, am I building my career to grow, which most do, but yes, they grow, but they don't last. So I need to build my career to last. Sustainability is important. I need to play a long innings. Longevity is very, very important. I cannot be a person of spikes, up one day, down the other day, up one day, down the other day. That gives heartbreaks and heartburns. That's a challenge. Number three is the speed of execution. And I'm going to share some data with you in the next few slides. Uh, the pace at which things were done in the past is no longer accepted. So you need to be super fast, super quick in execution. And I think so execution is the key. I may adapt fantastic from a conceptual point of view, but ultimately the moment of truth arrives when I have to apply it, when I have to execute it, right? So it's the rubber meeting the road situation. So am I able to execute? And for me to be able to have excellence in execution, we need three things. We need focus, we need passion, and we need competency, right? We'll talk about that in detail. And what's happening to the learning curve. I think so the learning curve for each one of us is getting steeper and steeper and steeper. The world order is changing and changing almost every day, if not a few times a day. Earlier, the world order would change maybe once a year or once in 5 years or once in 10 years. But I think so the world order is changing yet again and changing at a very fast pace, right? And the challenge that all of us face is a question that we need to ask ourselves is, are we building capabilities in these times? And these are disruptive times. Do I have the capacity to build the capability? Yes, I have the capacity. But am I utilizing that capacity to build my capabilities? And one of the things that I have learned in my life is we all, without exception, we all need to build our capabilities and our competencies on a daily basis. What I knew yesterday is no longer relevant in today's time. It is done and dusted. It is over and out. It is the past. It's in the grave. It's not useful anymore. Like Albert Einstein so beautifully said, the mindset, the level of thought that created a problem, the same level of thought, the same mindset will not solve that problem. We need to go one step further, right? And how do I do that? And the last is, it's all about mindset. So when we talk about adaptability, when we talk about agility and all that we have seen in the past few sessions, I'm not sure how many of you attended the last couple of sessions. If not, you may want to listen to the recording and get up to speed in terms of what we learned, right? So it is important that I usher in a growth mindset. Right from our childhood, we have been wired with a fixed mindset. What is a fixed mindset? This is what I am capable of. This is what I can do. I can't grow anymore. And the growth mindset says that, yes, I can build a new skill. And it is all about taking a chance to change, right? So I want some of you to think about this statement and give me your response on it. What does this statement, I hope that statement is visible and you're able to read that statement. If not, let me zoom in so that it is, you all are able to read it. So may I request one of you to share your perspective and give me an example. Give us an example rather.
Sir, I would like to give a very lame example, but I think it somehow relates to it. If somebody is trying to lose weight, so we have to focus on the process and we have to trust the process, because we cannot lose weight in one day. Neither we can gain weight in one day. So if we want to make our life healthy and we are on a particular diet session or whatever, let's say that we are trying to either gain weight or lose weight, so we have to focus on the process and we have to trust the process. We cannot vent out our emotions on everything.
That's right. Thank you. Thank you for giving not a lame example, but a very important example, because most of us would be struggling with one of that, either gaining weight or losing weight, and being in shape, fit and fine, right? So thank you for sharing your thoughts on that. Anyone else would want to share?
There was one in the chat box by Priya.
Okay, so let me see if I can read the chat box. We should not worry about the results. So Priyal, absolutely, we should not worry about the process, the results. We should focus upon the lead indicators, the inputs. Very nice, because the result is not in my control. What I do is in my control, right? So very nice. Anyone else?
Yes, sir. So, sir, actually, the problem with human being is that we want result immediately, but we don't want to focus on the process. So, like, life is a ladder, or like every transaction has a ladder. So we need to start from the bottom, and then we'll can only reach our destination.
That's right.
So it's a process basically, and we should focus our process. We should make our mind that this is the process, and then trust the process, that if we follow this process, we will definitely like achieve something that we are looking for, and not focus on the end result, but yeah, the process is very important.
Beautifully said. Thank you. Thank you for
Thank you.
sharing this amazing point. But yes, that is what it is. We want instant gratification. I would advise all of you. Advice is a wrong word, because today's generation don't like advice. So I suggest whenever you have time, go to YouTube and watch a video which is titled the Marshmallow Test. Marshmallow is a chocolate, right? And this was an experiment done by small little children, and then that experiment continued from them being small little children till the time they become adults and grown-up individuals. Watch this, and it talks about what we just heard. We want instant results, and it talks about delayed gratification versus instant gratification, and how we need to focus upon the end in mind, right? And great, thank you, thank you. Yes.
So I heard something, like it's something I heard also, something which I experienced out of my experience also, and which I have a previous knowledge also of the same thing. uh, when we are waiting for a long time for something to happen, and after a point of time when it happens, the excitement, it is like we don't have that kind of excitement that we thought initially that we would have. I think so. I'm like able to make you
Correct,
understand
correct.
what I'm
I
saying.
understood. I understood. But you know, that's how life is. If when I reach my goal or my destination or whatever it is, sometime in the future, and if the excitement level has kind of gone down, then it was not worth uh, striving for that goal in the first place, right? So I believe,
No, sir, it's not like that. It's like at one point of time when I'm very near of reaching the goal, I know that yes, i I know that I will get this because I have been working for this. So it becomes very obvious, the goal becomes very obvious rather than being something very excited and surprising. That is what I'm
yeah,
trying to say.
correct. Thank you. Right. So again, a point to challenge you is, if you think that the goal that you have in front of you is inevitable, you are going to achieve it, then you are keeping the bar too low, right? So the goal constantly should be challenging us, right? So that is how uh, great achievers achieve great things in life. They constantly raise the bar, And there is this beautiful statement that I keep on telling myself, that people fail not because they aim high and they miss. People fail because they aim low and hit. So make sure when you're setting your goals, those goals should scare you, right? And that is how you keep on stretching yourself. So that's a different topic, but thank you for your inputs. I need to focus upon the process. So let me do one thing. Let's stop sharing this, and let me share a quick 30-second video of one of my favorites in the world of sport, and tell me if you're able to see this video. And let me pull this video for you. Just give me a few seconds. Do you know Mahendra Singh Dhoni?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
We
And
are.
to be honest, I was about to give an example of his only. Like he in every interview he used to say like focus on the process and then the
That's
results
right.
will follow.
That's right. That's right. That is right. And so it is just not what he says, but something that he exhibits and he does. So let me play this short video, and okay. So let me share this particular video. Where is, let me share my screen, and let me, are you able to see my screen? Could one of you
Yes,
confirm?
yes, sir.
Great. So let's watch this. It's a short video that should give us an answer of what we are trying to learn.
How do you keep yourself so cool?
Very simple. Don't think about the result. It's a result that puts pressure on us. You know, what if this happens? What if we don't win the game? What if we don't get selected? But again, worry about the controllables, you know, and whatever the controllables are, we take care of it, we'll get the desired result. If we don't get the desired result, we'll improve. We'll change our plans, we'll execute better, and we'll get a chance to prove ourselves again. Thinking about the result never gives you result. Yes, you may have a target in mind, but what is more important is to take care of the small steps in life. You know, what needs to be done, what I am supposed to do, what extra I can do, and you know, that will help us achieve the target.
So I hope this short video gives you some insight in terms of what I'm talking about. Was this useful? Was this short video useful?
Yes, very much.
Right. So and the reason I play this video is a twofold reason. One, I play this video because what we just heard from the great Dhoni is something which our chairman also says very often, that let me put up my slide, and is the slide back for all of you? Are you able to see my slide?
Yes.
Okay, so what our chairman keeps on saying is, we cannot control what is happening in the external world. That is out of our control. Where we need to adapt is our preparation for the future, which is volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. So it is how well prepared we are. And I just love what our chairman says, that we need to be ahead of the change curve. We should not be in a situation where change is coming and hitting us. We should rather be leading change rather than lagging behind. And that's what MSD also says, that the result is not in my control. And two people that I have huge regard and respect for, both of them say the same thing, and hence it builds my conviction that yes, when we talk about adaptability, we are talking about controlling the controllables. I need to adapt, right, and focus upon whether I am ahead of the change curve or not. A quick question to some of you who would be management students or have studied management. or know a bit about management. Have you heard about the change curve? Anyone heard about the change curve? Yes, no?
Difficult question.
Difficult question, no worries. That's fine. Okay, so have you heard about the statement that change is the only constant?
I'm sure most of us would have heard that.
Correct. So thank you, Patel sir, for that. How many of you know that this is one half of the statement? This is not the complete statement. What is the other half of the statement? The first half of that statement is change is the only constant. ये statement का आधा भाग है. इसका other part क्या होगा? Anyone can complete that statement? I hope I'm still audible to the others.
Change before you have to. Is that the statement?
Okay. So change before change changes you is what Patel sir is saying. Some other responses? Pallavi, any response from you?
Aparajita.
Anyone? So Saurabh, Mansi.
Sir, in the last class, I wrote it down somewhere. I'm not getting it.
That Marx mentality,
Correct.
that I should be right.
कोई बात नहीं. So that is fine. At least you wrote it down, so you will get it. All right. So all of you, write it down and also understand this. The full statement is change is the only constant. Growth is always an option. I'll repeat what I just said.
Yes, you have mentioned this earlier. Yes.
Correct. Change is inevitable. Change is the only constant. Agree. Growth is not inevitable. Growth is not going to happen on its own. It's an option. Right. And we'll talk about this. And let me introduce to you the change curve. So the change curve, I'm not sure how many of you know this. If you know this, great. If you don't know it, this should help you. So when we talk about adaptability, this I think so becomes very, very important that we understand the 7 stages of change. So whenever we are talking about change, we are talking about adaptability. I need to adapt to that change. Right? And the more adaptable I am, the more flexible I am, the better I would be able to face the new reality and use it as a platform to move forward rather than blame it कि ऐसा हो गया वैसा हो गया इसने ये किया उसने वो किया इसलिए मैं अब आगे नहीं बढ़ पाता के बढ़ पाती. Right? So all those blaming and naming games that we play. So the first step that all of us pass through, all of us without any exception, whenever there is any change, whether it happens in our personal life or in our professional lives, is a state of shock. So could one of you share the emotions that are there at this stage of shock? What happens at this state? What happens to our motivation? And this is, we are trying to understand it, studying motivation / performance over a period of time. And this is all to do with how we adapt to the changing times. So shock state mein hamara, what do you think is the thought process?
We are, hi Pallavi this side. So we are mostly observing what is happening, and in state of shock, generally people are in silence.
Okay. So thank you, Pallavi, for that answer. And generally people are silent in that state. Okay. Thank you. Anyone else?
You don't have a thought process at that point of time. If I'm in shock, I'll be blank.
Yeah, that's right. Or yeah. So it is also called a brain fade, if you know that term.
Yeah,
And
right.
yeah,
Brain
so
fail.
we
Yes.
get we get that brain fade. Pata nahi kya ho gaya, so thei gaye, right? Types, right?
Right.
Okay, so that's a good response from Mansi and Pallavi. Thank you for that. Anyone else? Okay, so if you are making notes, you may want to write this down and let me zoom it for you. Right, so it is the initial shock um, on hearing the announcement, and that announcement could be anything that has resulted in some change, some shock, right? And then, as Mansi said, you may get a brain fade, दिमाग काम करना बंद कर देता है, and or you may get into a shell like Pallavi said, and then we become silent, right? So all of us will have either a flight or a fight syndrome, or maybe the third F, which is the freeze syndrome. So whenever we are in a situation where there is a lot of change, we use one of these three F's as a response. Either we freeze, either we fight, or either we take a flight, right? And we'll talk about that some other time. From the state of shock, we move to the second state, which is the state of denial. Any idea what is the state of denial? So how would the thought process move from stage 1 to step 2, step 1 to step 2?
Not accepting, denial to accept. ऐसा हो ही नहीं सकता.
ऐसा
How
हो
is
ही
it
नहीं सकता है.
possible? This cannot happen
किस,
to me.
That's right, that's right, that's right. मेरे साथ नहीं होगा ये मेरे पड़ोसी के साथ होगा, मेरे साथ नहीं होगा. That's a good response, Mansi. Thank you. Anyone else would want to add to what Mansi just said?
In denial, we continue with the existing practices and we intend to ignore the circumstance.
Okay. Thank you, Pallavi, for that. We continue business as usual and don't accept the change, right? So that is pretty much what is here, right? So believe that the change isn't relevant to me. It applies to someone else. It is not going to impact me. It is not going to impact the way I work, the way I live. It is for someone else, right? And as I take you through these 7 steps, would request you to think about your own life and the various emotions that we would have gone through whenever we have passed through any change, personally or professionally. From the state of shock, we go to the state of denial, and then we come down in our motivation to frustration. Remember, the performance and the motivation has not dipped, because till now I am saying that ये मेरे लिए नहीं है, मुझे उससे impact नहीं होता है. It is out there somewhere in the world. It is not in my world. But now reality is slowly striking in, and you are and I am in a state of frustration. Any thought what would be the thought process at this state or stage, which is stage 3?
Sir, reacting to situations, not responding to it.
That's a good answer. What's the difference between reacting to situations and responding to situations?
Sir, responding means analytical understanding and of the situation, and like answering in a way where you are not in a where you are not influenced by your own thought process, where you can give a sane answer. Reacting is when you are affected by your own emotions and you are giving an answer out of vengeance. Maybe it's a feeling of jealousy, it's a feeling of outburst, anger, or any such harsh emotion that we have.
Wow, so thank you so much. For someone so young, you speak very well. When I was your age, I had no such knowledge. I don't have anything even now, but that's a fantastic answer. Yeah, so thank you for that answer. Just to add and to help others crystallize and make a note, when we are reacting, we are allowing the emotions, the circumstances, the situations to take control over us. So we react basis emotions, circumstances, and the situations. So we lose our own control, and that is not good. So we are talking about adaptability. I'm not adapting, I'm becoming rigid. And one of the things that we learned in the earlier sessions is the importance of flexibility in the process of becoming more agile and becoming more adaptable to situations. So we should not react. If you're making notes, please write this. We react basis our emotions, and that emotions could be of anger, could be frustration, could be whatever it is. It's a negative emotion. And वो परिस्थिति मेरे पे हावी हो जाती है, वो situation मेरे पे हावी हो जाती है, and then I become a puppet in the hands of that situation, which is not right. When we respond, we are responding basis our values and our principles. So we'll talk about this in depth, but please make a note of it. When we respond, we are responding basis our values and our principles. When we react, we are reacting basis the emotions, the circumstances, or the situation. That's a good input. Thank you. Anyone else would want to share what is the thought process at step 3 or stage 3 on the change curve? Remember, we are moving into a negative zone here. If you look at the motivation and performance versus time graph, we are moving into a dip. Anyone would want to share anything? Make it participative. मैं ही बोलते रहूंगा तो आप भी मेरी आवाज सुन सुन के बोर हो जाएंगे.
Sir, what kind of shock are we talking about here? Like, it can be anything, right? Like losing the job or failure of examination.
Correct. So that's an event, right?
Okay, so any shock basically.
It could be any shock, right? And it could be the outburst of Omicron virus or the variant of COVID, right? And we were hoping that the business will resume as usual, and we were coming back to normalcy. Suddenly, this variant strikes us, and then again we are kind of into a restricted environment, right? So it could be that. Right? So just as an example, it could be anything.
Sir, can it happen like this? Like it might impact on, like it might have an impact on somebody, and others might think that it is nothing. Like, why are you getting depressed on this thing?
Right. That's right. That could be the state, right? So that's a good discussion that we had. Thank you for your input. So when we talk about stage 3, what we are talking about? We are talking about अब यहाँ से मुझे छुटकारा नहीं मिलने वाला. They are going to lock this change. This is going to become permanent. I will lose control over what I'm doing. So someone is forcing us to change, forcing us to come out of our comfort zone. If you're looking at it from a positive way. So in the last about 24 months, how many businesses have shut down? Why have they shut down? And I'm going to give you some examples of businesses, not just in the last 24 months, but you can look at it over the last maybe 20 years. So they were not able to
adapting to change. Didn't adapt to the change.
That's right. Thank you. Thank you. One, they did not foresee this happening. They did not preempt this is happening, and they reacted to the situation. So it is kind of a knee-jerk reaction. Can
I share an example?
Please do that.
I guess a lot of people would relate to this is Nokia, the mobile phone. It like the keypad thing. It was a market leader in that, and then they could not foresee the touchscreen era which was coming, and then it completely Samsung took over. And I guess Nokia now is as close to a history. Like if I have to tell my future generations, they'll not believe that it was such a huge market. So
That's right.
yeah.
That's right. That's a good example. Thank you for sharing that. And I'll give you some more examples. And does any one of you know? Maybe Ashish would know, being a technical and a technocrat and someone very good in technology. Do you know of the world's best engine ever designed? It was considered to be the best engine ever to be designed, but that engine never even took its first ride. Do you know that engine? It was a steam engine. So Nokia is an example which all of us know. I would also want to suggest that whenever you get time, read about this, Google it, and understand why this, which was considered to be an engineering marvel, the best that the human mind could have designed. It was ready, but it never even pulled even one train. So it never moved out of the shed in which it was designed, right? So we will talk more about this, right? And so yeah, that's the third stage, the stage of frustration. And then because we are getting into a state where it is moving out of my hand, it is not in my control anymore, we move to the third stage, which is the state of depression. What is the thought level here? Am I still audible?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So इस stage पे आपका thought process क्या होगा?
Like everything is sad, not going my way.
Okay. Thank you, Ashish, for that. Everything is like SAD, self-acquired disease.
Yeah.
And will I be able to make it? What would happen to me?
Correct. What will happen to me? That's right. Shoot Ashe, kya hoga types, right? So good. Thank you for that. So let's look at what happens at this stage. And let me zoom in for this. Everything we do seem to be pointless. The confidence is low. And when the confidence is low, what happens? If you were to look at commitment as a tabletop, are you able to see my screen? I have written C here. Are you able to see the alphabet C here?
Yes.
Okay, great. So the C here is commitment. So if commitment is a tabletop, it stands on two legs. Any idea what are these two legs on which commitment stands? The first is again a C, and the other is a word starting with M.
Motivation.
Fantastic. Very good. Thank you. Thank you, Pradeep sir, for that answer. Super. So we got one. And you can check for yourself. When we have gone through those changes, I'm sure all of us would have gone through a stage where we are not motivated to do what we want to do. But then पापी पेट का सवाल है, इसलिए करना पड़ता है, तो आप करते हैं, मैं करता हूँ, बट दिल से नहीं करते, राइट? सो मेरा मोटिवेशन लो है. So that's a good answer, Pradeep ji. Thank you.
Sir, there is one small say.
Ji sir.
Self-motivation is the best motivation.
That's right. That is right. Absolutely. 100% right. Self-motivation is the best motivation, but then it is easier said than done. Many of us, many of us struggle with variant of, or variance, that's a better word, of motivation on a day-to-day basis, right? So that's important, right? So self-motivation, thank you for adding to that. And what is the C here?
Capability.
Okay, so capability is one answer. Thank you for that. So my capability also influences my commitment. Okay.
Character.
Sorry? Character.
Character.
Okay, so my character influences my commitment. Okay, that's a good response. Anything else from C? So this C is, I'm not saying capability is not important. I'm not saying that character is not important. All that very, very important. But this C is confidence. Have you been in a situation where you feel less confident? You are getting into a very important meeting. You are about to make a presentation to very senior stakeholders, and your heart is racing like a Formula One car. You have sweat in your palms, and you almost skip a heartbeat.
Yes, sir.
Mira-
Seminars.
Seminars. It could,
University seminars.
that's right. So what is happening is because of that, hey, मेरे साथ ऐसा क्यों हो रहा है? All that emotions that do the rounds in our minds. So understand this, and let me say this slowly. Situation ऐसी हो सकती है कि हो सकता है मेरा confidence low है, but मेरा motivation high है. उस situation में भी मेरा commitment low होगा. हो सकता है मेरा motivation low है, but मेरा confidence high है. उस situation में भी मेरा commitment low होगा. And the worst is मेरा motivation and मेरा confidence दोनों low है, तो उसमें भी मेरा commitment low होगा, right? And commitment is very, very, very commitment to what I want to do, right? And the other thing as we move to the next stage is I'm using the word commitment to do something. I'm not using the word interested to do something. So as I move to the next point, can one of you help us understand the difference between I'm committed to do something versus I'm interested to do something? I'm committed to adapt to the changing times, or I'm interested to adapt to changing times.
Interest is more of voluntary, and if I have time, I'll do it. It's like a hobby kind of a thing. If there is a circumstances, if there is an opportunity, I'll do this. Commitment is something I have accepted, and I have inhaled that this is what I have basically convinced myself that I am supposed to do this. So that I guess is commitment.
Good. That's a good answer. Thank you, Mansi. And I love that one word that you said, I have inhaled it, right? So that's a very strong word. Thank you for that, right? So pretty much right what Mansi just shared with us. If you're making notes, you may want to write it. Interested, that state of mind or that state of commitment is, I will do it when it is convenient. Committed is, I will do it no matter what. And that is how you get self-discipline. And adaptability is all about self-discipline. And the way I understand discipline is doing what I need to do, when I need to do, and I do it irrespective whether I feel like doing it or I don't feel like doing it.
So can you repeat that part? Commitment.
I'll repeat. Commitment is, I will do what I'm supposed to do irrespective of the situations, whether the situations are conducive or not. No matter what, I'm committed to change. I'm committed to improve. I will improve. And that is what you heard MS Dhoni in that short video. That's commitment. Interested is, I will do what needs to be done only when the situations are favorable. Right, that is one. Second, I said, when you're talking about commitment, it stems from discipline. And what is discipline? In my understanding, discipline is doing what I need to do when I need to do it. And I do it irrespective whether I feel like doing it or not. Third point, very important. Achievers or successful people, whatever term you would want to use, I would rather use the word achievers. Achievers form the habit of doing things which average people don't like to do. I'll repeat what I just said. Achievers or successful people, you can choose your choice of word. Why do they become achievers? Why do they become successful? Because they develop the habit of doing things which average people or failures don't like to do. Even these set of people don't like to do, but they still do it no matter what. That is because they are high on self-motivation, as Pradeep ji just said. And if you want to read more about this, read a small book. It's a booklet. And the name of that booklet is The Common Denominator of Success by a gentleman called Albert Gray. And it is a research of about 25 plus years. And this is a fantastic statement that I have learned in my life, that yes, I need to do what I need to do, whether I like it or I don't like it. And if that is the motivation, I will be able to come back into the positive quadrant of the change curve. If not, I will quit. I quit my job. I quit my relationship. I quit whatever I wanted to do. And then I become an absolute negative person, saying that मेरे साथ ऐसे ही होता है, मेरे साथ ये है, मेरे साथ वो है, ये इंसान ऐसा है, वो इंसान ऐसा है, सरकार ऐसी है, ये ऐसा है, वो वैसा है. It is always blaming someone outside. So the locus of control becomes outside. The locus of control should always be inside. That is the third stage. And a lot of us, irrespective of our age, pass through this state that क्या मतलब है करने का, कुछ होने तो वाला नहीं है, right? And then because I have that discipline, because I have that commitment, that okay, this is what is there, let me give it a try. And then we move slightly back, and I use this side and I refer it to as the hockey stick. Think of a hockey stick, right? And it's an initial dip and then it goes up, right? And that up can be exponential for some. That up can just be a small elevation for some. It all depends upon our attitude, right? So I get into the state of experimenting. And what will be my state of mind here? Let's zoom into this. It says, this is where people start questioning if करके तो देखते हैं क्या होता है. There's no harm in trying. So you are reluctantly yet wanting to adapt to the new way of working, or saying that okay, this change is here to stay. It is not going to go away. And they begin to try things out and consider different scenarios going forward. Slight positive push, slight positive momentum towards accepting the change is where I think so. It starts at stage 5. From there, we go to stage 6. And that stage 6 is I take a decision that finally we come to the terms of what is the new way of working. What is the new normal, or as I said earlier, the new abnormal. And you say that okay, this also is good. This also is equally exciting. And then we move to the last stage. That stage is of integration, and that stage of integration is that this becomes my new way of working. Now, the reason I'm sharing this is we will talk about the change curve a lot in the series, but a few things. If you're hearing me, maybe you would want to listen to what I said. From stage 1 to stage 7, I cannot short circuit and go from 1 to 7. Please listen to me. We all go through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We all go through this. But here is my point. There are two people. There is a person A, and let us say there is a person B, right? And a person A takes, let's say, T as time to go from stage 1 to stage 7. and person B has, let's say, less than T time to go from stage 1 to stage 3. So there's a delta between person A and person B in terms of the time that they have taken to go from step 1 to step 7, or stage 1 to stage 7. So if this is what we saw as the 7 steps, 1, 2, going up to 7. So how do I reduce the time frame going from step 1 to step 7? Remember, I'm saying I cannot short circuit, I cannot jump the stages. So the only way I can travel this, if that's the right word, or the only way I can navigate through this these 7 points is if I reduce this dip here. This is pretty deep. Can I make it slightly shallow? Can I make this like this? Let me use a different color. As I go from here to here, can I have a graph like this? Pardon me for my drawing, because my drawing is horrible, right? So if this is slightly better, how do I go from step 1 to step 7? I need to reduce this. And if you're able to understand what I'm sharing with you, is it possible to reduce this?
Yes, it is possible. I think the more time is you're spending in this valley, so it will increase the cycle time, overall cycle time. So time is directly proportional to this variance.
Correct. Thank you, Nikhil. Thank you. And I liked one word, what you said, this valley, right? So good. So how do, so you agree, I hope all of you agree that we can reduce the depth of this valley. That's a good word that Nikhil shared. Thank you, Nikhil, for that word valley. तो इसको मैं कम कैसे करूं?
Acceptance and embracing the situation.
Very nice, very nice. I accept and I embrace, right? So that's two fantastic words. If you're making some notes, you may want to write this down. I need to embrace the change with boldness. And we'll talk more about this statement, but thank you for prompting me to say that by saying that acceptance and embracing. Very nice, very, very good. What else can be done to, because if I'm low on motivation, which all of us pass through those stages when we are low on motivation, it becomes difficult to accept it and embrace the situation. We tend to have a brain fade, as we heard in the earlier discussions. So yes, acceptance and embracing is a great word, but there is a likelihood that it would be a great challenge. So इस वैली को कम कैसे किया जाए?
Even we can reduce this by sharing our upcoming strategies with the people to whom we know and get the ideas from them.
Fantastic, fantastic, Pradeep sir. Thank you.
We can have the ideas from them and we can expedite to complete it.
That's right. That's a super answer, Pradeep. Thank you. Right. So one of the ways to ensure that my motivation does not drop and is I need to communicate with someone. But the challenge is many of us don't have people with whom we can openly communicate, openly confide in that person, saying that मैं इस दौर से गुजर रहा हूँ, मुझे आपकी मदद चाहिए, मुझे आपकी सहायता चाहिए, इस दौर से गुजरने के लिए ये मैं सोच रहा हूँ या सोच रही हूँ, सही है गलत है मुझे नहीं पता, कि आप मुझे हेल्प करोगे? एंड अगर आप किसी के साथ ऐसा कहते हो, चांसेस है कि वो इंसान उस सिचुएशन को मैनिपुलेट करके बात का बतंगड़ बनाएगा, राई का पहाड़ बनाएगा. But that's a good point, Pradeep Saab, that we can share it with someone. The other point that I wanted to share with you is the importance of what I say, communication. and building upon what Pradeep ji said, we need to ensure that if I am passing through this change in my life, and if I am in the negative quadrant, I need someone who will come and communicate to me differently at different situations. If I'm in a state of shock, how you communicate to me will be slightly different than when I am in a state of denial, then when I'm in a state of frustration, then I'm in a state of depression. It becomes slightly easier when the momentum is taking us up. So when we do a session on communication, I will help you understand what should be our communication strategy to help that person. So one of my responses, adding to what you have already said, like the point of acceptance, the point of embracing, the point of sharing it with someone else, if I can add to those 3 points, my point would be, let us communicate with that person and help that person move from stage 1 to stage 7 and be with that person, especially when he or she is passing through the valley. And that sometimes just becomes a wish list because we don't have those kind of people who are there to encourage us. And there are a lot of people who are there around us to discourage us. Choti si galti ho jati hai. The entire world is all over us. But then that is how life is. That is how the world is. So we sometimes wonder, am I worth only the money that I earn? Am I only the sum of all highs and lows? There's this beautiful song, one of my favorite songs, and I hear it at least once, if not more times, every single day. And that song is titled You Say. You may want to listen to it on YouTube and maybe send me a WhatsApp message in terms of whether you liked it or not. It
Already
is
in my playlist.
You Say.
Yeah, such a beautiful song.
It is just an amazing song. Thank you, Ashish, for adding. It is, every time I hear it, I just can't stop crying. And otherwise also I'm a very emotional person. I cry very easily. And this is a song that I heard it for the first time in the US when I was attending a church in San Diego, and I heard this song live. And this was at the end of the church service, and the choir was playing it, and I said, wow. मतलब दिल को चीर जाने वाला song है, and it was as if this song was written only for me. उसका एक एक शब्द जब मैं सुनता हूँ, it is as if ये मेरे जीवन को किसी ने देखा है, कोई ऊपर से देख रहा है और उसने ये गाना मेरे लिए बनाया है. Please watch. It is अगर दिल है, अभी भी दिल धड़कता है, तो आप, I'm sure you will have teary eyes. But unfortunately आज बहुत सारे लोगों का पत्थर दिल हो गया है, and हम emotional नहीं रहते हैं. But anyways, right? So listen to that song. It will help you big time. I can promise you.
Sir, can you please name the singer?
Name the singer. Good question.
Lauren Daigle. Can I play it?
Okay.
I already have it open.
Yeah, please play it. Please play it, Ashish. So
Sure.
I'll stop sharing. Thank you, Ashish, for your help.
Most welcome. Most welcome. I'll be sharing it with sound and share. I think I should play one with the lyrics visible, right?
Yeah. So play one which has the gray background, not this one. So go down that list, I'll show you. Just say, yeah. So just go, yeah, play the first one. Yeah, play that one. Wasn't that an amazing song?
I had goosebumps. So
Yes. Yeah. So from this song came AB, Always Believing.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So that is the genesis of AB. That is how Always Believing came. And like Pradeep ji spoke about the importance of self-motivation when we are passing through change and wanting to adapt. This song has motivated me. There is one more song. If you have time, you may want to hear that. It's a song titled Million Little Miracles. Million Little Miracles, right? And these two songs have helped me in my life to adapt and to adjust to situations and ensure that my motivation is high, and I continue to fight, because the fight is still on, and we all have to be fighters in life. We just cannot be quitters in life. Yeah, so this is a song that helps us kind of reduce the valley, reduce. If I don't have anyone who will come and communicate with me, which generally is the case, I have to become my own sunshine. I have to become my own light. I need to find a way, and songs such as these and a few more I have as my favorite on my playlist. I hear this song at least once, if not more. And the song Million Little Miracles, it's a beautiful song. You may want to hear that, and then let me know what you think.
Sir, I remember something. In the
Ji.
last class, maybe last to last class, I asked you about existential crisis. I think this is
That's
one
right.
of the best
That's right.
song that suits it.
That's right. That's right. So it's a thank you, Aparajita, and it's a song that I am wrestling with God, saying that you tell me you love me, but I don't feel that. You tell me that I belong, but I don't feel that. Right? And it is something that helps me not get into a state of loneliness, because if you were to look at that graph from frustration to depression, and if you continue that downward curve, you go into a state of loneliness, which is very, very dangerous. And at least this song helps me not get into that state of loneliness, but be able to take that upward curve like a hockey stick and go into a state of saying that, okay, let me try if it works for me or not, right? So thank you, Ashish, for playing that song. Let us come back and let me share what I was sharing with you, right? So this is the change curve that I shared with you, right? And if you want this, I'll share it with you. Basically what I'm telling is this. Can one of you explain this slide? Like one of you said reactive and proactive, right? So what do you think is reactive here, and what do you think is proactive here?
Growth is proactive. Like growth,
okay.
Growth being a choice, even though both are directly related to each other, it's up to us to bring the second part of the story to again get to the first one, that is change.
Okay, so thank you, Ashish, for that. So he is kind of interrelating both these statements. Thank you, Ashish. Anyone else would want to share your thoughts on this?
Okay, I'll just relate it with the change curve, like from shock to integration, it clearly shows the growth. So that is how we grow if we surpass the change cycle and, the stages. And definitely if we are at that stage, it's above the shock state. So if we are already grown and that has changed us. So that's how these two are interrelated.
Thank you, Mansi, for putting your thought on this and sharing your thoughts. So pretty much right, but let me make it even simpler. When we talk about change brings growth, we are talking about a proactive measure. Growth bringing in change is more reactive. Let's look at some examples, and I'll pick up, and Mansi also shared that earlier. Look at these brands. What do you think? They were in stage 1 or stage 2? BlackBerry is now history. And BlackBerry, for those of you who know, they don't have the software anymore, so you can't use BlackBerry anymore. So it's literally history. Kodak, I'm sure all of you know, and if you can go and ask your parents what is a camera on which they shot their marriage photographs, they will say Kodak, Yashica, and others. It's not that Kodak did not change. Kodak did change. They did get into digital photography, but it was too late. It's not that Nokia did not change. Nokia did bring in Android platform phone, and it branded it as Nokia X, but it was too late. Micromax is history. Blockbuster Video, one of the largest video rental companies in the world, is now bankrupt. And there are many more, right? So if you would want to understand this, I need to be at step one. I need to change proactively, like the word that Mansi said, or I don't know who said. I need to embrace the change. I need to accept that this is happening, and the earlier I move into from shock to experimenting and then onwards the positive curve, the earlier I do it, the better it is for me. But it is very difficult. Most people are not able to do it, and hence you will see them becoming very negative, wanting to cling on to the past, saying that past acha tha. If you change a job, you tend to say that earlier job was better, my earlier boss was better, and so on and so forth, right? So it's difficult to let go of the past and kind of embrace the future. And as I said, I need to embrace the future with boldness. The two words that we heard, accept and embrace, which is easier said than done. Why is it so difficult? Because of this 4-letter word, the dreaded 4-letter word. And it is the VUCA word. So how do I adapt? How do I stay relevant in this volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous world? Let me give you a high-level overview. Maybe we can go into the depth of it in the next few sessions. Any idea what could be a good way to combat the volatility which is there? क्या तरीका हो सकता है कि मैं और आप अप्लाई करें जिससे जो बहुत फास्ट पेस पे परिवर्तन आ रहा है, उस परिवर्तन के दौर को मैं अपने हित के लिए यूज करूं, उसको मैं पॉजिटिवली यूज करूं. I can ride that wave if that's a better way of explaining what I just said. Any thoughts on this?
It's again being flexible, being adaptable, being nimble.
That's right. Correct. Thank you, Patel sir, for those 3 beautiful, absolutely critical words. In addition to what Patel sir said, I need to have a vision for myself. And what is vision? How is it different from mission? And how is vision and mission different from a purpose statement? May not be today, we do not have the time to cover that. Maybe next time when we meet, please remind me, I'll help you understand what is a vision statement. A vision statement is a far-fetched dream. It has to be tangible. I need to know when I arrive there. And then we'll look at some vision statements of companies who have stayed relevant in these difficult times. And if you look at those companies, do you know what is the vision statement of SpaceX or Elon Musk's company SpaceX?
To make a sustainable life on Mars?
No. It is partly correct. The vision statement says to make multi-planetary life possible.
Yeah.
So I would encourage you, till we meet next time, you may want to think about your own vision statement. And we'll look at what Patel Sahab also said, I need to have speed. I'm using the velocity just to keep the alphabet V in mind. The way to combat uncertainty is quick. We have 2 minutes left on the clock. How do I combat the uncertainty जो इस युग में है, उसको हम कैसे डील करें, उसके साथ कैसे डील किया जाए?
Keep learning.
Keep learning. Thank you, Mansi, for that answer. That's right. Thank you. Anyone else? And when you keep learning, it will build better understanding. I need to understand if it's a professional life, the business that I am in, I need to understand the business ecosystem. If we are talking about personal life, I need to understand what is happening and why is it happening. So it is very important. I retrospect, I introspect, I reflect back on my life and say that, okay, ऐसा हुआ है क्यों हुआ है, let's analyze, right? It's important to reflect and introspect, build understanding. And at times it is also important to be unorthodox, try something new. We just cannot have conventional way of doing the things. And I'll give you a lot of examples of how unorthodoxy has helped people and companies prosper. How do you compact the complexity that is there? And each of this is a homework for you to think about. And if you reflect upon this, it will help us understand how do I adapt to the changing times. Complexity को deal कैसे किया जाए? Complexity कैसे किया जाए? I need to become a person who collaborates with others. The importance of realizing at my head that it is interdependency that will help me win the day, not independency. And then we need to move from dependency to independency to interdependency. The pyramid, I have shared this earlier, some of you may know it, the 3 stages of that pyramid. So I need to move from dependency to independency to the 3rd stage of interdependency. हम लोग dependency से independency तक तो जाते हैं, but यहाँ पर आके अटक जाते हैं. यहाँ पर मेरा ego hurt होता है. मुझे पता है कि पटेल साहब मुझे जो सलाह दे रहे हैं वो अच्छा है, but ego आता है, नहीं करूँगा, नहीं करूँगी. And then we need to get into a state of interdependency. That is when I start collaborating. And we'll talk about collaboration as a skill sometime later. I need to build clarity and I need to have creativity. And we looked at how do we build cognitive agility in the previous sessions, where we looked at some concepts like flow and other things. Check out your notes, you will remember that. And the last is ambiguity. How do I combat the ambiguity? By being agile and by realizing that अकेला मैं कुछ नहीं कर सकता, but collectively हम awesome things कर सकते हैं. And I think so that is the way to combat the volatility, the uncertainty. And when we meet next time, I will help you understand this graph, that when should I trigger that change that is so important. When do I embrace the new? And then we look at this graph when we meet next time, right? So adaptability की journey अभी चालू रहेगी. It is not yet over, and I hope the time that we spend today would be helpful to you. And just don't be hearers of what I'm saying. My request, recommendation, urge is try to apply this and then see how you can make it more practical, pragmatic, and apply it in your lives. Any thoughts, suggestions?
Wonderful session. Change code, the entire 7 steps. VUCA the way in a very briefly, but I took the screenshots, and of course there is a recording. But wonderful, wonderful.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Sir,
Anyone else?
one response.